Love rejoices in truth. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 26, if one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. The key to this passage isn't obvious. After telling us what not to be happy about, other people's misfortunes, Paul invites us to celebrate alongside the truth. Sunkairo means rejoice with. Love shares joy. When the widow finds her lost coin, she invites her neighbors to celebrate with her. Luke chapter 15, verse 9. When the shepherd finds the lost lamb, he invites his friends to celebrate with him. Luke 15, verse 6. When Elizabeth, the woman too old to be a mother, gave birth to John the Baptist, quote, her neighbors and relatives rejoiced with her. Luke chapter 1, verse 58. Love knows how to celebrate. But what shall we celebrate? What is the source of love's joy? Paul simply answers, the truth. The truth should make us happy. Is he talking about a specific truth? God loves us? Or a particular event? Jesus died to make us free? Or does he say all truth should be an occasion for rejoicing? The word truth is used in three senses in the New Testament. First, truth is a quality like dependable, upright, or truthfulness. Paul said, our boasting before Titus has proved true. 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 14. And he told the Ephesians, for the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and pure. Ephesians 5, verse 9. Second, some things are true as opposed to lies. Again, Paul wrote, therefore, having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25, but you can also see Romans 9, 1, 1 Timothy 2, 7, Mark 5, 33. And of course, the Christian faith is the ultimate truth. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 13, 4:21, Colossians 1, 5. The truth of the gospel colors everything and is an occasion for rejoicing. The Apostle John wrote late in his life, I rejoice greatly to find some of your children walking in the truth just as we were commanded by the Father. 2 John verse 4. Truth also refers to an ultimate reality, the discovery of which is an occasion for great joy. Paul had a worldview that taught God loved the Jews, but the Gentiles, the non-Jews, as one rabbi taught, were created for the fires of hell. In Acts chapter 10, God revealed his love for all people through the Roman centurion Cornelius. And Peter concluded, quote, truly I understand that God shows no partiality, but in every nation, everyone who fears him and does what is right is acceptable to him. Acts chapter 10, verses 34 and 35. Discovering truth changed him and broadened Peter's love. In other words, life is a voyage of discovery. There is an ultimate truth behind the universe, discovered by faith with both eyes wide open. And when we encounter love, and God is love, 1 John 4, 8, it is time to celebrate. Listen to the Apostle John writing in his first letter. For this is the message that you have heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Chapter 3, verse 11. Whoever keeps his word, in him truly the love of God is perfected. By this we may know that we are in him. Chapter 2, verse 5. Whoever loves his brother abides in the light, and in him there is no cause for stumbling. 2:10. See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God. And so we are. Chapter 3, verse 1. Whoever does not love abides in death. Chapter 3, verse 14. By this we know love, that he laid down his life for us. and we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. Chapter 3, verse 16. And this is his commandment, that we believe in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another, just as he has commanded us. Chapter 3, verse 23. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Chapter 4, verse 7. Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. 3 verse 18. Wow. No wonder Paul said, love rejoices in truth. Is love gullible? Is love naive? Does it seem foolish to trust anyone and everyone without reservation? Paul says agape love is ready to trust, but especially for those who've been hurt, learning to trust may be hard. If your wife developed Alzheimer's, what would you do? In 1990, Robertson McQuinlan stepped down from the presidency of Columbia Bible College and Seminary, now Columbia International University, to care full-time for his ailing wife, Muriel. She was terrified not only of the disease, but especially of losing Robertson and being alone. Now, some of his friends advised him to put her into an institution. She'll quickly adapt to the new environment, they said. Instead, McQuinlan decided to resign, and he wrote, I haven't in my life experienced easy decision-making on major decisions, but one of the simplest and clearest decisions I've had to make is this one, because circumstances dictated it. Muriel now, and in the last couple of months, seems to be almost happy when with me and almost never happy when not with me. In fact, she seems to feel trapped, become fearful, sometimes almost terror. And when she can't get to me, there can be anger. She's in distress. When I am with her, she's happy and contented. And so I must be with her at all times. And you see, it's not only that I promised in sickness and in health till death do us part, and I'm a man of my word, but as I've said, I don't know with this group, but I have said publicly, it's the only fair thing. She sacrificed for me for 40 years to make my life possible. So if I cared for her for 40 years, I would still be in debt. However, there is much more. It's not that I have to, it's that I get to. I love her dearly, and you can tell it's not easy to talk about. She's a delight. It's a great honor to care for such a wonderful person. Later, McQuinlan said, she's such a delight to me. I don't have to care for her. I get to. One blessing is the way she's teaching me so much about love, for example. God's love. True love, agape love, can be trusted, perhaps because love itself trusts. Paul said, love believes all things. However, it seems our natural inclination to be suspicious, to doubt, to demand proof before trusting another, and why not? It's a sinful, selfish world. It's easy to be betrayed, even by people we love. Trust is the glue that holds relationships together, and when trust has been broken, when we've been betrayed, it can be almost impossible to restore a relationship. In restoring trust, the first place to begin is with yourself. It's natural to feel guilty, that it was somehow your fault. An important part of the forgiveness process is forgiving yourself. When trying to understand a situation, we have a tendency to generate explanations for why things happen, even if they're irrational. We often blame ourselves. If I was a better person in some way, maybe this wouldn't have happened to me. If I was less gullible, I would have seen this coming. We think that if we can find the flaw and fix it, we might be able to prevent it from happening again. Self-forgiveness requires self-compassion, and learning that even with your flaws and vulnerabilities, you still have tremendous self-worth and deserve to be treated well. It is important to know that the behavior of the other person was his or her choice and reflects who they are, not you. The second step may be the hardest: forgiving the person who hurt you. Forgiveness isn't about justifying someone else's actions, forgetting their behavior, or even reconciliation. It's as much about your healing as the other person's. Not forgiving ties us to the past and binds us to the pain. Forgiving sets us free to love again. When we hold on to resentment, the only person we hurt is ourselves. Fear will keep you from loving. Perhaps you're worried it could happen again, and so you need to guard your broken heart. You're afraid of the shame, humiliation, and devastation of being duped again. Paul says, love believes all things. And love first believes in you. Love trusts, and that trust begins with trusting yourself.